this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really easy twisted bracelet. And this is really cute. We just use some wire and twist it, and it turns out really cute. Now this is what they look like on. I have made a few of them. These I made a little bit bigger than these, and so they look a little sloppier on my wrist, but they're actually very pretty, very stackable. You can do this with any beads that you have that are smaller beads. You could do this with all seed beads, make several of them and stack them. And you can do this with 4mm round pearls, whatever you'd like, as long as it's like 4mm and smaller. These ovals are 6x4, but they're 4 in diameter, so they lay nice. So you can do this with any bead you want to do. I am making mine with the Festive and the Elegant treasure bag, and like I said, they just turn out so pretty, just so sparkly. And I will be making a necklace and earring set to match this in the next tutorial. So I hope you enjoy this one. Let's look and see what it takes to make this and get started. Okay, for this tutorial today, I'm going to show you what we're going to be using to make this bracelet. And we're going to make one with the Elegant bag and one with the Festive bag. And we're going to be using different beads for each, so there's a different number of beads that you're going to use because they're different sizes. So for the Festive bag, you're going to use these 6x4mm oval faceted glass beads. They're clear, and you're going to need 30 of them. And then for the Elegant bag, you're going to use this 4x3 rondelle. Could be 4mm round, but I believe it's a 4x3, and we are going to be using 62 of them. Now, I don't have that many out right now, but you will use 62 of them, and there will still be enough left over to make the necklace that I'm going to make in the next tutorial. So you'll have a complete set. So make sure that you only use your 32, or you can even do it a little less, or your 62, just to make sure that you have enough for the necklace tutorial. We're going to be using 3 of these black 6mm round beads. We did use some in another tutorial. However, there should be at least 3 left over, so you can do that. And they are the 6mm round black crystal glass. For the Festive bag, you're going to use the 6mm round clear glass. And then for both of the bracelets, and you'll need to double this, I just have out enough for one bracelet, but you're going to need this for either bracelet. So I have one head pin, it's a little ball head pin. I have one bead cap, which is optional. I've added this from my personal stash. It's not in the bags, but I like to have on my little dangle on the end of the bracelet. It looks cute with a little bead cap, so I'm doing that, optional. And then 3 8mm round jump rings, one of the lobster claw clasps, some 8/0 seed beads, and a few 15/0 seed beads. Then you're going to need some 26 gauge wire. I'm using this craft wire. I got it at Hobby Lobby, and it's 26 gauge and it's gold color. And you're going to need 2 pieces 13 inches long for each bracelet. So go ahead and get your things together and we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the beads from the Festive bag. Because there are fewer on the strand that we're using for the Festive bag than there are on the strand of the 4x3 rondelles, we're going to do our stringing just a little bit different for the Festive, and then I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do for the Elegant bag. So we're going to start this by picking up one of our pieces of 13-inch 26 gauge wire. Mine's still in kind of a curve, so I'm just going to hold one end back, and then I'm going to start by picking up 3 15/0 seed beads onto my wire. Then I'm going to pick up, and push those down, I'm going to pick up 8 8/0 seed beads onto my wire. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm just going to let them kind of roll around my wire here like this. And I'm sorry for the lighting. I'm in a hotel room right now, so it's a little bit weird, but I wanted to make sure I got my tutorials out to you. So now I have 3 15 O's, 8 8 O's, 3 15 O's. Now I'm going to pick up 15 of my oval beads on each wire, so you'll need 30 in total, but I'm going to put an 8/0 seed bead between each of the ovals to give me more space between each one, so I don't have to use quite as many, and I can still reserve some for a necklace that I've designed to go with this set. So you're going to pick up an oval, an 8/0, an oval, an 8/0 until you have all 15 of your oval beads on. So you may just want to count out of your pile 15 beads, and then just string them all on just like this, holding one end. And if you've cut enough wire like I have and it's in a curve, you should be able to keep your beads on there pretty well as you work. So just go ahead and keep picking up until you have your 15 beads on, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I have put my 15 seed bead, or excuse me, I have put my 15 6x4 oval beads with an 8/0 seed bead in between onto my wire. Now I need to finish this end the same way that I started this end. So I'm going to pick up 8 8/0 seed beads onto my wire, and then I'm going to pick up 3 15/0 seed beads. So let me see, I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 3 15/0s, just to narrow this down nice, so when we twist it, it will twist together well. So we're just bringing it down to a small end here with our 15/0s. And this is what this looks like. Now, you're going to do that again exactly the same way with your second piece of wire you've cut. Now, for those of you with the elegant bag, this is what we're going to end up with here. Is we're going to do 2 wires exactly the same way. Start with your 3 15/0 seed beads, pick up your 8 8/0 seed beads, and then just begin to string on 31 of your 4x3s. We're not putting a seed bead between these. They're actually a nice round shape so that we don't have to worry about that, and we have plenty of them to do. So what I'm talking about, the nice round shape, is these are a little bit more oval, of course, they're oval beads. So having the 8/0 seed beads in between helps us when we want to make our bracelet shape, and it also gives us some space because we don't have as many of these beads in our bag as we have of these. So again, you're going to make 2 that look just like this. So 3 15/0s, and then 8 8/0s, and then 31 of your 4x3s, and then 8 8/0s and 3 15/0s, and you'll make 2 of those. So go ahead, no matter which piece you're making, and go ahead and string up 2 pieces of wire that look just like the ones I'm showing you. Now, if you're using something other than what I'm using, then you're just going to want to make sure, if you want a 7-inch bracelet, to make at least 6, maybe a little over 6 inches of your beading. So you can take a bracelet, or you can take your ruler. Make sure you do your 8/0s and your 15/0s, because that's what's going to start our twist narrow for us. And this I have about 6.5 inches here, and I will end up with about a 7-inch bracelet by the time I'm done. However, with my clasping. However, I'm also going to add a few jump rings on the other end to make an extender so it will fit a little bit larger too. So you can gauge make whatever beading you're doing, start with your seed beads and end with your seed beads, and measure about a half an inch short of the length you want to end up with. And you can use any beads you want to do this. We'll be back when we've got all of our beads strung up on the wire. Okay, as you can see, I have done both of my pieces of wire exactly the same, and I'm just going to set them aside for a minute and get a little dangle prepared for the end and get my ending squared away. So I have a head pin here, little ball head pin, and I'm going to pick up one of my 3 6mm round beads, and I'm just going to drop it on there, and then I'm going to pick up my bead cap. Now again, that's optional. You don't have to have it, but I think it's just kind of cute. And then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and place them right on top of that bead cap, making sure that there's no slack down on the bottom here where the head pin is through the bead. And then I'm just going to push the head pin over the back part of the plier as I'm holding the plier flat and parallel to the bead mat. And then I'm going to turn my hand, and now my plier is up and down like this. I am going to take that excess piece of wire and roll it over the top of the plier. And as I do that, when I get about 3/4 of the way around, I'm going to switch my hand to where it's flat, the plier's flat and parallel to the bead mat again, while drawing that excess piece of wire underneath the plier. And now when I take it off, I will have a loop like this. Let me get you a little closer. I know there's a lot of shadowing. I'm having issues with lighting here because I'm not at home. So now I'm going to grab a hold of the loop here, and I'm going to place this excess piece of wire at the same angle as my plier. And then I'm going to switch my hands, and I'm going to grab another pair of pliers, and I'm going to start to wrap this excess piece around the piece that goes into the bead, and I'm just going to keep wrapping it until my head pin and my bead are nice and tight on this. Just like that. Actually, I'm going to switch to this plier here and continue to wrap a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to take my flush cutter and cut that wire off and fling it onto my lights. Hold on to your wire and wear safety glasses. And now I'm going to push that excess piece in with my chain nose pliers so that there's nothing pokey. And sometimes it takes a minute. It's probably the worst part of wire wrapping, is tucking in the excess. And I'm going to straighten everything up. And my little loop is kind of crooked, so I'm going to straighten him up. And then you should just have a little wire wrapped component like this. And we're going to set that aside. And we're going to take one of our 8mm jump rings, find the opening, and put a plier on one side of the opening, put another plier on the other side, crank it open, and then drop that little component you just made on there, and then pick up another one of your jump rings. This one's already closed, so I'm just going to drop it on there and close that jump ring. Then I'm going to open the second jump ring, and I'm going to drop on the third jump ring. And this will be our little extender. You can use smaller jump rings, you can use more or less of them if you would like, but that's our ending for our bracelet. Now grab your 2 pieces of wire that you've prepared, put the ends together and center the beads as much as you can, making sure that, oh, this wire is a little longer than that one, okay. Making sure that you have about the same amount of wire on either side, like this. So I may need to, let me see, may need to trim one of these. I evidently didn't measure very well. it's nice to measure one and then lay that one down as your measurement for the next one. Just hold them together and that way you have them the same. Now I have my beads centered on here. Let me back off just a little bit. I'm going to pick up one of my 6mm round beads and I'm going to hold the ends together and I'm going to slide the 6mm round bead on to both wires and push it down, and then I'm going to do it on the other side also, and just put both of those wires right through that round bead, and then I'm going to push them down, trying to make sure that I have about the same amount on either side. And we won't get this perfect, we won't get it lined up just right until we've ended one side here. So I'm just going to get it as close as I can, and then I will pull the wires very straight and through. So I just want to make sure I have enough to work with on this side. So now I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and this should stay fairly decent. It's going to move around some, but you should be able to work with it. I'm going to place my round nose pliers right at the end of this bead here, and I am then going to kind of get it vertical here, and I'm just going to push the wires over the back portion of the plier here, the back prong, and then I'm going to straighten my hand up like this, and I'm going to bring the excess wire over the top, and then as I bring it underneath the prong of the plier it's on, I'm going to straighten my plier out. Then I'm going to take this off. I'm going to slightly open these two wires. Let me put them back together here. They came apart, which will happen, but I'm just going to kind of open them like this. And then I'm going to grab my clasp, and I'm going to slide my clasp onto this wire and down into the two loops there, and that kind of straightens them out. And then let me get in close again here. I'm going to get my chain nose pliers, and I don't have my little skinny ones here. If you have a skinny nose plier, use it. And I'm just going to grab a hold of that loop that I just created, just like this. And then I'm going to start wrapping these excess wires around. And I'm just going to stay up in the area I'm in. I'm not going to travel down the wire too much because we don't have anything stabilized yet to go around that bead. So I'm just wrapping them around just like this. And then I will cut the excess off. And then I will just tuck this excess around. And I can do this better once I actually get, let me cut that a little more, once I actually get this stabilized a little bit with the other side. So I'm going to cut this down, and then I will tuck this in better once I stabilize the other side. Okay. So this is what I have. I have a little wire wrap here. You can see all my beads are loose, everything's weird, but this side is now secure. So what I can do is I can push all the beads up to the bead on this side and tighten everything so there's no slack. And then on this side, I can individually pull the wires to make sure that I draw everything together like this. Now you don't want it so tight that your beads bunch, but you do not want any slack either. And now we're going to hold on to this side, put our round nose pliers right up tight against that bead. And I'm going to hold it like this just so that I can explain it better. I'm going to, now that my plier is flat, I'm going to push the wire, the excess wire, over the back prong here, and then I'm going to straighten my hand, and I'm going to bring the excess over the top, and then when I'm 3/4 of the way around, turn my wrist so my plier is flat again. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to hold on to this loop the two wires together, and I'm just going to start to turn my excess wire. This is 26 gauge, so you can do it with your fingers, but if you want to do a plier, that's fine too. And I'm just doing a messy wrap. I'm not worrying about it being perfect. I'm just wrapping it around as much as I can. And then, when I'm satisfied, I will cut the excess off as close as I can, and then tuck it in. And this 26 gauge wire is kind of hard to tuck in too. So just take your time and just mess with it. And I like to use my crimping tool, pliers, and I don't have them with me. So I may have to use my regular crimping tool. But I've got that down. Now you can see that my little loop that I created is kind of weird. So I'm just going to straighten it out with my round nose pliers. Put my round nose pliers back in and kind of straighten that out like this. And then I am going to take my little links that I made here and open the third one that we connected. So let me crank this open. Just twist it open, slide it on here, and close it. And now we're going to begin to twist our bracelet. So I'm going to grab this end on the beads and this end on the beads. Let me back off a little bit. Get all this stuff out of the way. And I'm just going to start to turn it. And I'm going to keep turning it till the middle is completely twisted, and then I will continue to twist. I'm going to hold one side steady and turn one side until it twists all the way up into these seed beads even. You may have to grab closer and then just start working your way down, twisting it tight like this. And then I'll twist this end nice and tight. And so that's why we only reserved a 1/2 inch, even though we put on a bead when we did all of this excess here, because when you twist, you're going to lose a little bit of length. So now I've got it nice and twisted, and I'm just going to turn it into a bracelet by messing with it. You can put it around something round, a bracelet mandrel, or you can just mess with it until it's nice and round. And then you can adjust your clasping so that the loop is the right direction to clasp. And this is what this looks like. Now you're going to do the exact same thing with the elegant beads from the elegant bag anyway. So exactly the same. So I have put on my 2 little black 6mm round beads. I will begin by ending one end and putting my clasp on, and then tighten this end and make my loop, and then I will have something that looks like this. This is my original design here, and I made this one a little bit smaller, and this is the original design I made too. So I made this one a little bit bigger. I'm going to put one on so you can see what they look like. I added 1 extra bead on each side here. So in my original, I did 14 of the oval beads. On this one, I did 30, and I did 31 on here on each side. So it just depends. You can do more or less beads. You can do more or less seed beads also if you would like, to make more length or less length. And like I said, you can just adjust until you're clasping. You can turn your little loops until your clasping is positioned the way you want it to be too. So let me put one on and I'll be back and show you what they look like. Okay, so here's what they look like. Just really, really cute. And here's what they look like on the wrist. So let me actually, and you can shape them any way you want. If you want them a little oval or however you want them to be. I think I twisted my originals a little tighter than I twisted these. And I also found that when you start to twist them, instead of twisting from both ends, just hold one end and start twisting. It works a little bit better to twist it from one end and then move all the way to the other end and twist it. It works nice. And you can get a nice tight twist. You can get a looser twist, however you want to do it. But I think the tight twist looks a little bit better. And I'm going to get you really close just so you can appreciate how pretty these beads are. They really look nice. And this looks really nice too. So I have made a matching necklace and earrings to go with these, and that will be in the next tutorial. So let me put this all back together so you can see how pretty they are. And that, my friends, is our tutorial for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, you don't have to have the treasure bags to do this. This technique will work with any beads you want it to work with. You just have to figure out your length, how many beads you're going to use, and it's twist up just fine no matter what you use. I would use a smaller bead in diameter, so anything around 4 millimeter round. You can try something a little bigger, but really 4 and 3 in that area. These are 6 millimeter long, but they're 4, in the diameter of it. So you want to stay with a smaller bead. This would work perfect with all seed beads. You can make several of them with seed beads and stack them in all different colors. So as long as you stay with a small bead, you can do this. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.